wanna rock right now. I'm 19, I came to get down. I'm not internationally known, but I feel rock bass when it comes to the microphone. You know I straight rock that. New money came through when we dropped that. Tastebreakers on the beat, can't stop that. Power for a couple dollars with a block at. Woo!
Welcome to TV Dinner, episode 22 with Pretty Pathetic.
She.
Woo. Thank you for coming on the show. Appreciate you guys. That performance was super sick.
Thank you.
Love the style. I love the suggestion of breakfast for dinner. I mean, you can literally have breakfast any time of the day. So it was an amazing call.
Yeah, I mean, I currently have syrup on my pants from how good it was. We both got syrup on yep.
Yeah. That's a win in my book, honestly.
Yeah. Can't control ourselves. Yeah. The pancakes are so good.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about how you guys got started, because I know you guys have your solo projects, right? So how did this duo come about?
We met at a party, actually, which sounds really lame. But, yeah, we had a mutual friend, and she had a bunch of friends over. And we, met each other and started listening to each other's music. I heard one of his solo project songs, and I was like, oh my god, I have to work with this guy. And then I showed him one of my songs, and he was like, oh my god, I have to work with this girl. So we wrote a song together 2 years ago. It was the most great, honest collaboration. So after that we were like, wait, we need to do this all the time.
That's really cool. What is the story behind the name? How did you guys come up with that? Was it after you wrote the song? Just what's the backstory, and what's kind of just the theme with everything you guys are trying to go for?
Yeah, so I mean, like she said, the first time we made music, it was pretty organic. As we kind of hung out more, we stopped making music for a year. We just made that one song, dropped it, and then did our own thing for a minute. But the more we just hung out, we realized that we had a very similar taste in music as we grew up, which was alternative rock, metal, screamo, emo side of stuff. And then we slowly fell in love with hip hop, and we're like, man, we wish there was something to bring those two energies together. And then this year, especially, just you can see hip hop is really catered to that kind of sound. And we never really expected that, because we'd always wanted something to be both things. So with X and with Peep and with Suicide Boys, really gave a lane for that. And we're like, wow, the song we had kind of already operated in that area. So the whole idea was to really, really dive into that sound, and coming from people who genuinely fell in love with both genres fully by themselves. So we kind of okay, we know we already kind of dress and we kind of follow the alternative scene, but we really love hip hop. So what's a way to organically put them together? And so we wanted our branding to be very rock and very screamo, emo type stuff. So the name, we wanted it to be super melodramatic and a little bit annoying, which as you can see already is already with our opening joke. Works well.
Works great.
Yeah, Pretty Pathetic kind of felt like a best of both worlds, because you can kind of take it as pathetic, which is just disappointed in yourself and grungy like that, and then Pretty, which even if you take both of our sounds, Becca's voice is very angelic and stuff, and then I kind of come with them grungy, sad boy type sounds.
Those names that come genuinely and easily generally tend to be the names that stick so well, because you are able to give the backstory of what it means, and you guys have obviously, it means something to you at this juncture, and you guys really encapsulated it. So that's props to you. I'm really interested to know how your guys' workflow works when you guys are creating. How's your guys' flow? Just let me know.
So neither of us really produce. We can kind of play around. Well, he can kind of play around. Usually we just find beats online from our favorite producers. Ghost is one of them, and then we find them online, and then we chill and listen to the beat a million times in a row and write our own melodies and lyrics, and we'll help each other out with the writing process and find something that comes around a common theme, and it's pretty fun.
Again, I think that also is super helpful with what I was talking about before, where we're trying to mix these genres that generally in the world didn't for a long time, and we feel super excited to explore that. I mean, we have a lot of people we can look up to. Like I said, Lil Peep or Suicide Boys, who can kind of get that feeling of emo music, but with the like, you know, the groove and the comfortability of hip hop. And so I feel like having someone who's based in melody, and then like for me, like like studied rap for a long time, being able to mix them is fun. So like we can really play a lot of the time. Like and then it also goes to like we really like to just write what is right in front of us. So we had that relationship thing, and then we write about religion, and we write about certain things that happen like very currently. So we will just talk, and then something that is on both of our minds at the same time makes it super easy to just put it on paper, like put it on the mic, and then.
That's dope. It seems your guys' process is really just like kick it and vibe to music.
Yeah, and it's actually crazy. Like ever since we met, we'd hang out and like talk about what was going on in our lives, and it was always the same exact thing. Like we'd be going through a certain relationship and then be like, oh my gosh, you're doing this too, like that's so crazy. And then we'd like deal with a religious thing, and like both of us would be going through the same themes throughout our lives. So that has transitioned into our music so easily because we're both like so on the same page. So we like constantly have stuff to write about that we're both like really feeling.
And I've found that when you do actually delve into conversation before a session, and you just start talking about life, and you really start like uncovering different viewpoints, philosophies, or whatever, it does lead to a better end product, in my opinion. And I've just been noticing it like amongst my homies that I make music with, that it's naturally like we find ourselves even like mid-session just like talking about life. Like the other day, like Rudy was over, we were like working on a beat, and then I just heard him like talk about life with everyone like in the kitchen while like it was my turn to like lay something down, you know. And that genuine process, I feel like, allows you to let your guard down as an artist and let ideas start to flow through you naturally, and really allow what it is that you're trying to speak to come out. Because, you know, you're not really, especially when you're starting out, like you're super self-conscious about certain things. You're like, how do I deliver it this way?
Oh, yeah.
You know? And I feel like by really connecting with somebody and talking about the things that you might even be afraid of, you know, and just talking through these things, it allows you to really be able to enter the realm of creation without the element of fear holding you back.
Totally. And a lot of the stuff that we write about is really like personal and like comes from a very vulnerable place from both of us. So it's like, it's so important that we like move forward in courage of like, this sounds really pathetic of us to say or like write about, but like it's what we're feeling, and we know that other people are feeling this way too. So we want to be like that light at the end of the tunnel for like any kids that are feeling like depression or anxiety or like going through a hard breakup or like going through a religious thing, like that we have been in that place too, and like we're writing about it to kind of pull them out of it as well. So it's all scary stuff, but it's good.
Awesome. Yeah.
When we grew up listening to alternative and emo music and like all that stuff, like a lot of people from the outside would look at it and be like, man, like be happy about life, which is like generally like I am a very positive person, so is Becca. Like we operate in a very positive light. But like when we realized that we had such a similar story and such a similar like heartbreak and pain as far as whatever it was that when we listened to music growing up and we had those thoughts, like those questions about existence and about like what matters and what's our purpose and like what's real, like the music we listened to, that was people having the same questions. Even if it wasn't an answer, it was comfort that other people were experiencing it. And just like the idea that like at the same time that I'm like, man, all this sucks, like my life's the worst, like it's like, no, there's so many people experiencing the same thing, and that makes it feel like, okay, then like there is like growth that can be had, and that like if we all are experiencing something, like the person next to you, you never know, like is experiencing the same thing. So once we started talking about it, like getting DMs from somebody random like, dude, like this, like I've experienced this too, like, and this maybe like realize that I could like, you know, cope with it and like grow with it, like that's what we want to create the whole platform off of is.
That's what music's really about, right? Connection. Mm-hmm. I always say this, but there are very few things on the planet that can bring people together regardless of race, religion, you know, language, whatever it is. That's music and food.
Yeah.
Straight up. You know,
Tastebreakers.
Yeah, that's
There you
why we
go.
rock it. You know.
Yep.
So I really connect with where you guys are coming from, and I really respect, just your ability to be vulnerable in what it is that you're creating, and like also kind of like poking fun at yourself while doing it a little bit, like having fun with it, which is so important. Like that's what we try to always make sure that we're doing is like continue to have fun with what it is with your craft and however you can, because it can get pretty arduous if you're just making it like super serious all the time,
Yeah, I feel like that's like also important in this genre is you can get caught in this idea of like glorifying sadness and like making it seem like it's something that's cool. Because this generation's like, or I'd say like literally last year, I think it's a little better now, but we started to see artists that were very sad and like influenced me a lot. But also a lot of kids were like, oh wait, now it's like I need to be sad and I can like dwell on my sadness and I can like all these substances they're glorifying, like I need to start doing that. Which is like, we also saw a gap there where it was like, okay, it's one thing to like share your sadness and to like let people know that it's okay to feel that, but it's another thing to like use it as like, fetishize it and all that. So that was another thing is like, I came from music that was like satiric and comedy based. Like my solo stuff for the most part, I have some other stuff, but like most of the stuff in it was like very satirical because I started making music as a joke, and more of a funny thing and like doing kind of that stuff like Das Racist and all that kind of realm, and then like came into this. So I always feel like if you don't just sit in a character all the time, people won't like separate you from human, So when you kind of show your true colors but then still talk about the vulnerable parts, then people like, okay, that's a human. That's not just like an entity.
It's the full scope.
Yeah.
So what's next on the horizon for you guys? What you guys got coming up?
So we're about to put out the third song that we did tonight called Death Note. And we're actually going to work on a music video with our friend Alex Safdie, incredible director, videographer, puts all of our thoughts and like music into visuals, which is so special. So we have that coming up, and then we want to work on putting together an EP or an album. So we're looking for like a producer that we can work with from beginning to end on music, and just kind of be in our team and make the stuff that we want to jam to. So that's kind of next steps for us, I think.
So I got a final question for you guys.
Yeah.
Popular final question on TV Dinner. You guys have
we
seen
know.
it, so
We
I
are
hope
ready.
you guys are ready. It's cheating, but okay, that's fine. Well, you both have to answer
We'd
separately.
be here for 20 more minutes if we weren't prepared.
Fair. So, stranded on an island. You can only take 3 albums with you. What are those albums?
Done.
Each separately.
Okay.
Yeah, each
Okay,
separately.
Purity Ring's Shrine album, You Are My Sunshine by Copeland, and Duality by The Siege. Those are my 3.
I love how we're gonna say I feel like albums that have not been said on the show before, which is
Definitely
fun.
not. That's great.
Yeah. Or maybe not. I think I have some info. So my first one is Man on the Moon 2 by Kid Cudi, Black Parade by My Chemical Romance, and then The Cool by Lupe Fiasco.
Great album. Great pick. It's really unfair. Usually that one, people are like, "Oh fuck, how am I supposed to choose?" And you guys are like, "Oh yeah, I got them all ready to go. This one."
No, to be fair, it was like yesterday. I was like, "Fuck, I feel like it's still not the right ones."
Yeah,
so
you switch it up for sure.
totally.
For sure. I bet you anything if we go back to every episode and ask every guest, now they wouldn't list the same thing.
Yeah,
that they
it's so
did.
different. That's what's great.
It's so different. Amazing. Well, guys, thank you so much for coming on the show. Appreciate you guys. That's TV Dinner, episode 22, featuring Pretty Pathetic.
Yay.
Go check them out. They are at We Are Pretty Pathetic across their handles. It's a wrap. Thank you guys for coming out.
Woo!
Yeah! Thank you for watching episode 22 of TV Dinner with Pretty Pathetic. If you guys like what you see, please like, comment, subscribe, whole 9. You guys can find us at Tastebreakers across all of our socials, tastebreakers.com. And if you guys ever want to see your favorite artists on the show, let us know, hit them up, and we'll get them on.
Live action.